The Tarkans were a civilization that thrived on power. Their towering physiques, encased in natural carapaces tougher than steel, embodied the strength they worshipped. They dominated not just other species but the very planets they conquered, bending entire ecosystems to their will. Among their many conquests, they celebrated the taming of the Wolfbeast as their greatest achievement. It was the apex of predators, an animal of such ferocity that even the bravest Tarkan warriors would hesitate before facing it. The Wolfbeast was more than a symbol. It was the epitome of terror. Its jet-black form rippled with muscle, its claws curved like sickles, and its jaws were lined with teeth that glinted in the dimmest light. The Tarkans had bred it to perfection, enhancing its instincts to hunt, kill, and dominate. It was said that even the air grew colder in its presence, as though the creature drained courage from its surroundings. To the Tarkans, nothing short of their own might could match it. Humanity, by comparison, was an enigma. They were a species that defied categorization. Weak by most physical standards, their bodies were soft, their claws non-existent, their strength laughable. And yet, the Tarkans had heard whispers of human tenacity, of battles won against impossible odds. These stories were dismissed as myths, but a shadow of doubt lingered. What did these frail creatures possess that allowed them to survive in a universe dominated by the strong? The experiment on the Ravik was meant to dispel any illusions of human strength. A captured human subject was chosen for a simple test: survival in the presence of the Wolfbeast. The arena, a vast metallic coliseum, was designed to amplify the spectacle. Tarkan spectators filled the towering seats, their voices a guttural chorus of anticipation. The air was thick with expectation, and the scent of polished metal mixed with the faint musk of the Wolfbeast's cage. The humans stood in the center of the arena, a stark contrast to the grandeur surrounding them. Clad in simple attire, they seemed absurdly out of place. Their posture was relaxed, their face unreadable. To the Tarkans, this was either foolishness or the peculiar stoicism of prey too paralyzed to comprehend its doom. They leaned forward in their seats, eager to witness what they believed would be a brief, brutal end. The gates opened, and the Wolfbeast stepped into the arena. It moved with lethal precision, its crimson eyes locking onto the human. Every step it took was a calculated display of power, its growls echoing like rolling thunder. The crowd roared in approval, their bloodlust reaching a fever pitch. The human, however, remained motionless. They neither flinched nor cowered. Instead, their gaze met the beast's, steady and unwavering. To the Tarkans, this was either bravery or the foolish resignation of a doomed creature. Either way, they believed the outcome was inevitable. The Wolfbeast would assert its dominance, and humanity's weakness would be laid bare for all to see. But there was no fear in the human's eyes. Only something the Tarkans couldn't yet recognize: calculation. The Wolfbeast's first step into the arena was a seismic shift in presence. Its powerful limbs moved with predatory grace, each motion deliberate, each growl a warning that echoed through the vast chamber. Its eyes, glowing a malevolent red, locked onto the human, studying the figure as if assessing the perfect moment to strike. The Tarkans watched with anticipation, their guttural voices stilled by the sheer dominance radiating from the beast. The human, however, remained unmoving. Their stance wasn't rigid or defensive but eerily composed, as if they were observing rather than preparing for an attack. It was a behavior the Tarkans found both perplexing and insulting. Surely, any creature in the presence of their apex predator would show some recognition of its imminent demise. The Wolfbeast, sensing no immediate reaction, let out a thunderous roar, a sound designed to shatter resolve and paralyze prey. Still, the human didn't flinch. Instead, their head tilted slightly, their eyes narrowing as they seemed to analyze the beast before them. It wasn't fear, it was curiosity. This was no fight or flight response. This was something else entirely. The Tarkans exchanged glances, some muttering in confusion. Could it be that the human didn't understand the danger it was in? Or was it something more unsettling, something they couldn't yet define? The Wolfbeast began its approach, each step deliberate, claws scraping against the arena floor. Its low growl reverberated through the chamber as it circled the human, testing, waiting. The crowd, sensing the impending clash, erupted in cheers and jeers, their voices calling for blood. But the human didn't move, didn't react. They simply stood there, eyes following the beast with an almost clinical detachment. When the Wolfbeast struck, it was like lightning, fast, brutal, and precise. A swipe of its claw aimed directly at the human's torso. Yet, at the last possible moment, the human sidestepped, the movement fluid and unhurried. The beast's claw raked through empty air, its momentum carrying it slightly off balance. The human didn't counterattack, didn't run. They simply stepped back, maintaining the same calm, measured composure. This wasn't what the Tarkans had expected. Their prey was supposed to panic, to falter, to scramble in terror before being overwhelmed. But this human wasn't behaving like prey. There was no fear in their movements, no desperation. Instead, there was a deliberate patience, as if they were waiting for something. The Wolfbeast attacked again, its jaws snapping inches from the human's shoulder. Again, the human moved with precision, evading the attack by the smallest margin. To the crowd, it seemed impossible. How could something so slow, so fragile, outmaneuver their greatest predator? The murmurs grew louder, confusion replacing certainty. The human's gaze never wavered. They weren't fighting the beast. They were studying it. Each attack was met not with a counter but with observation, as if every movement of the Wolfbeast revealed a deeper truth. To the Tarkans, it was infuriating. To the Wolfbeast, it was something new, an opponent it couldn't intimidate, couldn't overpower through sheer force. The arena grew quieter as the realization began to sink in. This wasn't a fight. This was something else entirely. The Wolfbeast hesitated for the first time. Its predatory instincts, honed through generations of survival, were confused. It had faced countless foes, each one predictable, driven by either fear or aggression. But this human was neither. It wasn't retreating in terror or attempting to fight back in desperation. Instead, it stood there watching, calculating. The beast circled again, slower this time, its growls less forceful, as though reassessing the situation. The human's posture shifted subtly. Their feet adjusted, their shoulders squared, not in a stance of submission but of readiness. It wasn't the kind of readiness Tarkans or the beast understood. It wasn't physical. It was something far more unnerving. The crowd, which had erupted with excitement moments ago, grew restless. Whispers of confusion rippled through the arena. Why hadn't the human fallen yet? Why wasn't the Wolfbeast dominating as it always had? The human finally moved, stepping forward into the beast's space. It was a bold, deliberate action, one that immediately caught the creature off guard. The Wolfbeast flinched, not from fear but from the sheer audacity of the motion. No prey had ever approached it like this before. The human stopped just short of the beast's reach, standing firm and unyielding. The creature bared its teeth, growling deeply, but something in its stance had shifted. Its dominance was no longer absolute. The human raised one hand, palm open, slowly and calmly. The motion wasn't threatening. It was controlled, almost soothing. The Wolfbeast's growls faltered, its head tilting slightly in confusion. To the Tarkans, this was incomprehensible. What was the human doing? There was no weapon, no sign of force, nothing that aligned with their understanding of power. And yet, the Wolfbeast didn't strike. It stood there, muscles coiled but unmoving, its glowing red eyes locked on the human's hand. Time seemed to stretch as the two regarded each other. The human's gaze remained steady, unblinking, as if peering into the very soul of the creature. And then, in a move that sent shockwaves through the arena, the Wolfbeast lowered its head. It was a subtle motion, almost imperceptible at first. But as it continued, it became undeniable. The beast, the ultimate predator, was bowing. The Tarkans erupted into chaos. Voices clashed, shouting disbelief and outrage. This wasn't possible. The Wolfbeast bowed to no one. It was bred for dominance, for absolute control. Yet, here it was, submitting to a creature the Tarkans had deemed inferior. The human stepped closer, their hand now resting on the beast's massive head. The wolf beast didn't resist. It didn't even growl. It simply remained still, its posture one of complete deference. The human's lips moved, but their voice was too soft for the crowd to hear. Whatever was said, it was meant only for the beast. The Tarkans watched in stunned silence as the human turned and began walking away. The wolf beast didn't attack, didn't move. It simply watched, its eyes following the human with an expression that seemed almost reverent. In that moment, the balance of power shifted. The Tarkans, for all their strength and dominance, witnessed something they couldn't understand. A force greater than physical power, something they couldn't tame or conquer. The arena was silent now, the once roaring crowd subdued into a stunned hush. Thousands of Tarkans sat frozen, their glowing eyes fixed on the scene before them. Their apex predator, the unstoppable wolf beast, stood motionless, its head bowed as the human walked away without so much as a backward glance. It was a sight that defied everything they believed about strength and dominance. In the control chamber above the arena, the Tarkan overseers frantically analyzed the footage. They replayed the moment of submission again and again, trying to understand what had happened. One of them growled in frustration, slamming a clawed fist against the console. What trick is this? What weapon did they use? But the scans revealed nothing. The human was unarmed, without any visible tools or enhancements. There had been no physical attack, no hidden device, no chemical interference. It made no sense. On the arena floor, the wolf beast still hadn't moved. Its powerful form, capable of destroying anything in its path, remained subdued. It looked not at the Tarkans but at the departing human, its glowing eyes devoid of the rage and aggression that had defined it moments before. For the first time, the creature seemed calm, at peace. The human was escorted out of the arena by 2 Tarkan guards. Though they didn't dare lay a hand on them, they walked with the same steady composure they had displayed throughout the ordeal, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. One of the guards glanced nervously at the wolf beast, its posture so unnatural for a creature of its kind. He hesitated, unsure whether he was more afraid of the predator or the human who had subdued it without a single act of violence. The Tarkan commander of the Ravik, a massive figure adorned with ceremonial battle scars, watched from the shadows of the control room. His voice, deep and resonant, cut through the tense silence. "This changes everything." The other Tarkans turned to him, confused. "The wolf beast bows only to strength," he continued, his sharp gaze fixed on the departing human. "And today, we've seen a strength we do not understand." The crowd began to disperse, their silence a stark contrast to the roar that had preceded the event. Whispers filled the air, speculation running rampant. Was it possible they had underestimated the humans? How could such a fragile species inspire submission in their greatest weapon? For a race that prided itself on understanding and mastering strength, this was an unsettling revelation. In the holding area, the human was returned to their cell, their demeanor unchanged. One of the Tarkans assigned to guard them, younger and less hardened by war, finally spoke. "What did you do to it?" he asked, his voice betraying a mix of fear and curiosity. The human looked at him, their expression calm but unreadable. "I didn't do anything to it," they replied softly. "I just showed it something it had never seen before." The guard frowned, unsure what to make of the response, but he didn't press further. Back in the arena, the wolf beast finally stirred. Slowly, deliberately, it turned and walked toward its enclosure, ignoring the handlers who usually corralled it back inside. It entered the cage on its own, lying down with a strange, almost serene demeanor. The Tarkan beastmasters exchanged uneasy glances. Whatever had just happened had left a mark, not only on the human, not only on the beast, but on the entire Tarkan Empire. The commander's voice echoed through the ship's halls later that day as he addressed his officers. "We have spent centuries mastering strength. But today we've seen that strength alone is not enough. If humans possess something that can humble even our wolf beast, we must understand it. Because if we do not, it will destroy us, or change us forever." And deep in its cage, the wolf beast rested, its loyalty forever shifted. The human had shown it not fear, not submission, but something greater, understanding. And in that moment, the Tarkans began to learn the limits of their dominance.